Hey, welcome, family, to another wonderful infotainment, edutainment edition of the Artivist Presents We All Read News and Radio. I'm your host for the empowerment segment, R2C2H2, the Artivist. Please feel free, family, to listen in. You can call in 646-652-4593. If you're scared to get on the air, we are online as well. You can also hit it up in the about to be opening up chat room. And also you can send me an email at r2c2h2@gmail.com. Once again, that's the alphabet R, numeric 2, alphabet C, numeric 2, alphabet H, numeric 2 at gmail.com. What you just heard was an audio recording of the late, great Ozzie Davis, giving honor to, at that time, the recently deceased, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was an essential part acknowledging the fall of Dr. King and try to rally up the troops to try to finish what he started in terms of getting the rights for the sanitation workers in Memphis and also continuing on with the Poor People campaign. And before that was the late, great Nina Simone, The King of Love is Dead, her tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I played a little bit of a segment from Dr. King in one of his speeches called We Shall Overcome, which is kind of like related to the song, but he took it to another level, as only Dr. King could. And tonight's topic, of course, is soul power. Brother Dick Gregory on Malcolm and Martin and what's going on in the world today. This show actually been a couple weeks in the making, and like they say all the time, good things, and I think even greater things come to those who wait even longer. So without further ado, I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, scholar and laymen, boys and girls, and people who just interested in having a good old time, the one and only, the incomparable, the iconoclastic, the humanitarian, the comedian extraordinaire, and all-gifted human being, Brother Dick Gregory. How you doing tonight, sir?
God bless you, my brother. Peace and love to you, and late happy holiday to you and your family and all your listeners.
Always glad, yeah.
Just let me say that before we start the show, we've been watching the news all day of the horrible weather y'all having there.
Yes, sir.
And being from St. Louis and knowing earthquakes, not earthquakes as much as tornadoes, and it is something. And those of you who've been listening but haven't been able to see it, it's something you never want to see and hear. It's like 10 billion freight trains coming through. And then the people we never think of are the first responders. It's one thing showing up to a murder or automobile accident. When you see whole towns wiped out, it's just never a trace that anything was there, the effect. And I don't know what type of training they have for people after seeing disasters like that.
Right.
Or follow up and find out what happens. And I just heard them say that in some area, I didn't hear where, probably could be so many fatalities. They already requested these multiple units of body trailers to come in. And so just in those of you who's listening, if you're ever in an area like that, get out the car. Don't be out there in the car because it'll lift the car up. And if you can't, just get down on the floor and just take your chances. And then floods. I come out of St. Louis where we had, tornadoes and floods. As a matter of fact, I worked the floods from the Mississippi River from the time I was 15 years old to the time I went to college. And don't underestimate God's power of water. And when I say God, I'm not talking about isms and osms. I'm talking about the universal creator. I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but something is so awesome it put this whole planet together. If I had to say what I thought it was, I'd say it's a woman. The reason is I had a mother. Now, hear me. I had a mother. There's certain things mothers do that men never think of. Do you know if a child fall and hurt themselves, what I'm fixing to say now, nobody can say it but a mother. A father can't say it, a brother, a friend. And mother look at that child screaming and howling because it fell. But she has the wisdom to examine it and know it's more sharp. And she said, come on over here and let mommy kiss you where you hurt. Huh? No man can say that. No. And so when I think about the way God put this body together And I mean, the heart's important, the brain's important, the lungs important, but who would ever think about eyebrows to keep the sweat from coming out your head into your eyes? Every little detail was taken care of, and so so we would be out there working in floods, and unbeknown to me at the time, that the water, we think we can see the flood water coming. Don't y'all believe that? See, that water saturates the ground, and 1 minute you standing there, and the next minute 10 feet of water jump out that ground on you. And so it's and that's what they're going through in Missouri tonight. And those of us who's fortunate to be in dry places or safe places or could run out the house and either walk to the drugstore or what have you, there's a whole lot of people that it'd be a long time before they can do that again. And so again, I just say for those of you all that's listening, if you just send some thoughts and not to the people who just in it, but the people got to work out there, the first responders. And so, again, I just say, just thanks to all the folks that's out there while we don't have to be there and wouldn't know what to do if we were there. And to you for this type of show, brother, I've said many times, money is not power, education is not power, information is power. And if I give you bad information, you got bad power. One of the problems with America today is we've been untaught how to critically think. Because if you look at all the Bibles, remember now, God ain't wrote no Bible, huh? Now, we can say God inspired man, huh? To do certain things. That's the same God inspired the priest who ends up ripping off little boys.
Right.
Well, see, we blame a whole lot of stuff on God because you can't see God. But people created the church. Now, that don't mean it's bad, but you better learn how to separate God from the church.
That's right.
Your heart was here before there was a Jesus, before there was a Christianity, before there was a Buddha, before there was that was the universal God force. And yet we keep ducking, shortcutting, going to the way station instead of going all the way up to the universe that put us here. And then we'll start understanding that whole, not just love. I love you, baby, if I can't have you, never. But can you understand being lovable? And so when you stop and you ask questions, but if you look at all the Bibles, you'll never see a word say intelligent or smart. All of us was born with great wisdom. And then the tricksters who wanted to control switched it from intelligence and smart. Why? They can give you a test to see how intelligent, how smart. They can grade it, but if they could grade wisdom, they could build a pyramid. Okay? And so when you stop and think about what they're telling us, I can see God and I can see Jesus, if Jesus was alive at the time of this story, when the Jews talk about the Passover. I can see Jesus saying, if you kill that calf over there and take the blood and dip this salt and put it on the door, and God will know who to bypass. No, see something wrong with that. My God, who made every grain of sand, who you have a body right now. It has 100,000 miles of blood vessels, not General Motors, huh? Yes, not white supremacy, not no damn bank. Can you imagine in your body, and it just didn't get there, it was there the day you was born. 100,000, if you could lay your blood vessels end to end that reach around this planet Earth twice. You think about that. 100,000 miles, four times. Reach around this planet Earth, huh? 4 times. And your blood make a complete cycle every 30 seconds, which means right now your blood is traveling 100 and some odd thousand miles a minute, and they got you believing a jet plane is fast. So you telling me this God said to my Jewish brother, put this on the door. Wait a minute, God, I know who you are. I know darn good and well you can see everybody in that house. So what's somebody giving me this trickery about? I need to put something so you. Now, me, Reverend Gregory, you need to, put that. I don't know who's in there. We got a guy called Superman supposed to be able to see through buildings, but God can.
Mm.
And so when you stop and think about, what they tell us, and they can't tell you that until they destroy your wisdom and destroy your ability to be a critical thinker. I mean, I look at, also you add certain things that life experience gives you. I knew Donald Trump. I know Donald Trump, right?
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump is the hustler's hustler, huh?
Right.
I mean, the only difference between Donald Trump supposed to have all this money and Jesse Jackson black. Jesse Jackson can outmaneuver Donald. He can outwit him. He can out anything except he a black man. And let me tell you something. Donald Trump ain't no billionaire, okay?
Mm.
They say Donald Trump owns casinos. You heard that, right?
Yes, sir.
Trump Towers, right? No, he don't own that, huh? They were licensed. In other words, I can come to Memphis, and you can give me a license, huh?
Mm-hmm.
To run your store, right?
Yes, sir.
So a whole lot of people who got bad money, drug money, mafia money, they lobby, they license clean people to front stuff for them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You look at that thug, he don't look like no billionaire. You listen to his insecurity. The other day when Bill Cosby was reacting to how he's reacting to the president,
right?
He went into Bill Cosby. I ain't never liked this humor. Real solid, secure people don't react like that, huh?
Yes, sir.
Only chumps who want you to think they rich, huh?
Yes, sir.
I know him, man. I know how nice. Before this mess started, you and I could be walking down the street in New York, and I said, Greg, how are you? Who's your friend? Come on, let's have lunch. That's how cool he was with black folks. That don't mean you can't be a racist.
Mm-hmm.
The mob, man. When you talking about sporting life, man, the mob treats Sammy Davis Jr. and all the top folks like God just kissed them. But that's how he was. And so I'm saying to see him change like this, I know it's more to it. Somebody have threatened him. Now, can't anybody threaten him, but somebody real powerful.
Right.
To say, here, we got a job for you to do, huh? And I am just sorry, whoever's advising Obama, that they let him release that today. I mean, why didn't you release it 2 years ago, huh? Why you look like this chump made you, huh? And now he ends up, and now it won't stop, huh?
Right.
Now I said, well, look here, man, we ain't got no proof you went to Harvard. We ain't got no proof you went to Columbia. Now, here's a man that brings a white racist cop from, and the reason I know, because when I did the research on the cop with Skip Gates,
right,
that cop had been cited, 8 times for racist incidents. I know this, and the FBI don't know this. And he bring that thug to the White House and share a beer? And then to show you how silly some white folk can be, Skip Gates came back from China. You know the story, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yes, sir. I feel
night,
familiar with that story.
He was coming back from China, and him and the driver was taking boxes in the house. Now, how can some white folks see somebody taking stuff in the house and assume that's a robbery?
Yeah, that's kind of backward. That's really backward.
And then Skip Gates was stupid enough with all his PhD to let the cop trick him outside the house, because nothing he said in the house he could have been arrested for. He tricked him out on the porch.
A lot of educated fools. You already know that, Brother Gregory. A lot of educated fools.
Yeah, but listen, certain things you don't do. That's why people talk about love and being lovable. He couldn't have been tricked. What was that about? Now, look at this scenario. He just came back from China, right? Now, remember now, this is the first time in thousands of years that the decline of an empire is not being replaced by another white empire, okay? Hear me. This haven't happened in thousands of years. America's down, China's number 1, India's number 2, and they got them real messed up. Brazil is number 3. They can't figure that out. Now what they're trying to do is go and get India for the rep. You know why they got to pick India? Because India was raised by the British, wasn't it?
Right.
So they still have a white British mentality. So they can't mess with the Chinese, okay? All right? And then hear this. China just went into Panama a month ago and gave them a $10 billion cash loan. Okay? China is building a canal 4 miles from the Panama Canal that's 5 times bigger than the Panama Canal, and building a train system for that country that will be one of the marvels of the planet. All that mess we see going on in Egypt and all over there in Libya and all of that,
yes, sir.
That's China's over there. See, we forget because we didn't know that when that first thing hit in Egypt, Chinese sit in their big planes and then they take 33,000 Chinese out. Huh? That's what this is about. We can pump up all them punk thugs and killers and oppressors. That's our money. Those are our planes. All them people that got gunned down in Egypt, that come from America. So then they say, them leaders and sit here and let these Chinese in. So let's get rid of this group who we've been pimping and put a new group in that will see to it they don't have a relationship with the Chinese. Huh? This is a horrible thing that's happening on the planet, and with all the TV, but the TV network is controlled.
Right.
Those the same people who control the world. You have anybody in the studio with you that got a computer sitting next to them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just while we talking, just ask them to punch up the Lord Mayor of London.
Okay.
And then when they do that, tell them to punch up the truth about London. Now, let me tell you something. This whole planet Earth, as we know it now, is run by a handful of white men out of London. See, London is not part of Britain. London has a different flag. Like the Vatican is not part of Rome. It's a city to itself. Okay? And in order for Queen Elizabeth to go into London, she got to get permission from the Lord Mayor. And if they granted to her, she got to come in dressed like a servant. Okay? See, that's all the protocols. And if you don't understand the protocols, then you don't know what they're talking about. Okay?
My person said, like, how you spell the Lord Bass, the M word? How you spell that?
I'm sorry to hear. Lord. This is like Lord God. Lord Mayor, the mayor of the city. Lord Mayor.
Oh, Lord Mayor, okay.
Of London.
Of London. Okay, they got it.
And you see, they saw it, and then when you look up the truth about London, you see they've run that down a way to control. And they call the London School of Economics, not the Britain School, right? And they call the Bank of London.
Yes, sir. Oh, that's interesting. Wow.
The London Times.
Oh, wow.
You see what happens? That they can control it. If I know that, you think the New York Times don't know it? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is this whole game that they play, and you see, it's really about white supremacy. And most white folks don't even understand white supremacy. I remember I was a little boy, and black folks had me teaching how to farm in America. Those old racist, redneck, nigger, hating, crackers, snuff, dipping, pot, can't read, can't write white folks. I'm 9 years old, and I said to my brother, since when do those type of white folks determine public policy? Huh? My problem has never been no white boy who can't read or write, full of hate. My problem's been the president of Harvard and Yale and MIT and General Motors, huh? The pharmaceutical companies that put all the bad medicine out. When they get caught, they don't go to jail. They just have to pay but don't have to admit they've done something wrong, huh? This is a game they play. White supremacy works. The world is 97% non-white and 3% white folk, but the 3% controls the whole world. They do that through white supremacy. That's why they can never admit all them white folks be seeing all them unidentified pilots in space. They say, come on, shut up. Now, you ain't saw nothing. Why? Because once you admit to somebody else other than you, then white supremacy go out the window, don't it?
Mm-hmm.
Organized religion as we know it go out the window, don't it?
Yes, sir.
See, my grandmother, she ain't got no space in her head to believe there could be a Baptist on Mars. Okay? And worse than all, we become earthlings. That means it wouldn't be a Memphis or Chicago or America or Russia or China or Africa. We would be earth people. Okay? This is what this thing is about. And so when you stop and think about all the trickery, you're a little young, but I say to your audience, many of y'all is young, but that's the good thing about the computer. A lot of things I can say now I could never say before.
Yes, sir.
Because it would be too outrageous. When Dick Nixon, let me just say this, when you become the president of the United States, you appoint the Attorney General, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Attorney General of the United States is the most powerful cop on the planet. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Because America is the most powerful nation on the planet. Well, for a few minutes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, those young folks, y'all going to have to punch it up. When Dick Nixon was president, he appointed an attorney general named John Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? John Mitchell. Married to a woman named Martha Mitchell, right?
Yes, sir.
They had this multi-million-dollar apartment in New York where they spent their weekend time when they wasn't doing serious business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one weekend, all the white boys were sitting around kicking back, talking white boy business, right?
Yes, sir.
Martha Mitchell overheard them discussing blowing up the World Trade Building. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
So after the good old white boys left, she confronted her husband. And he said, look, that's none of our business. She said, no, wait a minute. You telling me that I heard y'all sitting in my house discussing blowing up the World Trade Building? I want y'all to follow this close now. So she said, well, you wait till Monday. I'm going to hold a press conference. Now, y'all sitting down? Those of y'all that don't know the story?
Yes, sir,
She was kidnapped. Can you imagine somebody doing the Nixon kidnap the Attorney General of the United States wife, and to this moment, right now that we talking, nobody's ever been arrested? Huh?
No, it's crazy.
You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Kidnap the Attorney General's wife? Now, it don't take much to realize we talking about two Americas, the one most folks know about and the real one.
Mm-hmm.
Shot her in her butt with a cancer shot, and not too long after that, she was dead. Huh? Okay, after they let her go, huh?
Yes,
so
sir.
this is what we talking about. And like I say, for years, I couldn't talk about nothing like this here because it's so far-fetched, huh?
Yes, sir.
So far-fetched because we so full of greed and money and hatred and meanness. And so if you're not aware, you can't connect the dots, huh?
Mm-hmm.
The Chicago Tribune, Friday, March the 10th, 1978. Now, they was 10 years behind me. In 1968, J. Edgar Hoover sent a telex, head of the FBI, to the Chicago Bureau, right?
Mm-hmm.
And told them to kill me. So use the mob, right?
Yes, sir. 10
years later, Chicago Tribune gets hold of the documents. They run a front page story. Those of y'all want to check it, Friday, March the 10th, 1978. Head front page story. Picture Hoover and me on the cover. FBI memo, use mob against Dick Gregory. The late J. Edgar Hoover ordered the Chicago office, of the FBI to develop measures to neutralize black comedian Dick Gregory and suggests measures could include alerting La Costa Nostra to Dick Gregory's verbal attack. I said the mafia is the filthiest people on the planet. Now, I want you to hear this now. This is head of the FBI. This is not some thug on the street, right?
Right.
Head. Say, American citizen who ain't never committed a crime, huh? Had that's it. Now, here's how it works. Now, I'm running y'all through this so when we get into Malcolm and Martin.
Oh, yes, I'm listening. I'm excited, but this is phenomenal.
But here's how it works. How old were you in 1968?
I didn't exist.
Huh?
I didn't exist.
All right, let's say you was 19 years old, okay? And all at once you pick up the paper and read where Dick Gregory had been gunned down in Chicago, right? And about 10 feet away, a mafia hoodlum was killed by the cops. That killed me, right? Okay? Now, all at once, the news started coming out that Dick Gregory was killed because he was running drugs for the mob and cheating them out of their money. Okay? You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Now, all at once, somebody said, well, wait a minute. And then all at once, you pick up the New York Times or the Memphis paper off the wire service and says, oh, they found a foreign bank account with $80 million in it. Dick Gregory. Who wouldn't believe I'm pushing drugs, and who would not believe that J. Edgar Hoover had just ordered me killed? Okay?
Yes,
this is how it works. Huh? This is how it works. And they do it every day, and poor people just sitting here looking at the news, looking at this here. The newspaper reporters, let me tell you, this country is on its way down, and the downfall of it will be the newspapers, the people who own it, and certain cops. You know how many cops in Memphis know who really killed King? You know how many cops in New York know who really killed Malcolm, huh?
Right. Yes, sir.
Oh, but they keep, and so eventually, after you keep ignoring an infection and ignoring a cancer, see, a cancer of a human being works the same way as a cancer of a nation. It gets to the point it's beyond saving, huh?
Yes, sir.
And so when you stop and think about simple, hold your hands open. If I borrow $10,000 from you next Friday, right? And I say I'll pay you back in 3 days. Tell me what day I'm supposed to pay you back.
Do you borrow from me? From
Count
Friday?
on your fingers. I borrow $10,000 on Friday and say 3 days I'll pay you back. Count
Monday,
on your
right?
fingers.
Monday,
right? So how can Jesus be killed on Friday and keep coming up on Sunday, huh? They put it right there. No, they put it right in your face. Huh?
Yes, sir.
All over the world, it's called Easter Monday except America. Everywhere in the world, Monday's a holiday, except Washington, D.C. is a holiday because Washington, D.C. is part of the occult. Okay? And so all over the world. Now, Martin Luther King is killed April the 4th. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Every year, April the 4th, a lot of us get together and kind of have little festivities to celebrate the brother, right?
Yes, sir.
JFK was shot November 22nd, right?
Yes, sir.
So every November 22nd, a bunch of us go to Dallas and partake in festivities, right?
Yes, sir.
So every year, if you want to celebrate the killing of Martin Luther King, what day do you do? April the 4th, right?
Yes, sir.
You want to celebrate the shooting every year of JFK is November 22nd, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Christmas, when we celebrate Easter, which is the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, right? How come one year Easter comes in April and another year come in March? You can't be killed in 2 different months.
You're right about that.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
The pagans were celebrating Christmas and Easter 2,000 years before Jesus Christ was born. Huh? You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Easter, the reason Easter changed from year to year, because Easter is determined. See, Easter is a Latin word called Esther, which means fertility. That's why the symbol is a rabbit in an egg. Okay? Easter is always the first Monday after the first new moon, after the first full moon, after the spring equinox. Okay? Now, Christmas cannot come except 270 days after Good Friday. How can you kill my Jesus and tell me to call it a good day? because it don't mean what they telling me. Something happens inside the body that's good. And 270 days after Good Friday, something is born inside of you. If I took your birthday and counted 270 days back, I find out exactly when your mother conceived you. So Christmas comes 270 days after Good Friday. Now, watch this. If Good Friday changed from year to year, then Christmas got to change from year to year, right? We know Christmas can't come before December the 25th, but it can come as late as January the 6th and sometime later. From December the 25th to January the 6th, that's 12 days. Now you see what the song is about, the 12 days of Christmas?
Yes, sir.
Okay? Now, what happens is on December the 21st, that's the winter solstice, right? Winter equinox, right?
Yes, sir.
Midnight the 21st, the sun dies for 3 days. Okay? Called death of the sun, right? Now let's count 3 days from midnight the 21st. Midnight the 22nd is the first day, right?
Yes, sir.
Midnight the 23rd is the second day, right? Midnight the 24th, right? Well, midnight the 24th, 1/10 billion of a second is the morning of the 25th. That's what the pagans were talking about on December the 25th. The sun is born, S-U-N. They change all the symbols around, Okay, this is what, okay? And see, if you tune into your universal spirit, nobody can lie to you. What they say, you have a brother.
Yes, sir.
What's his name?
His name's Jordan.
So if Jordan wrote a book, Jordan's version on how to play basketball, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, the secret to understanding it is what? I've got to know who Jordan is, right?
Right.
Because that's his version, right?
Yes, sir.
So if Jordan ain't got no legs, ain't his version going to be different?
Yes, sir.
Huh? Okay? So King James didn't lie. King James didn't say Jesus' version, did he? He didn't say Christianity's version, did he?
No, sir.
He didn't say that. He said it's his version, right?
That's right.
Do you know my mother never knew King James was king of England? My mama never knew that King James was such a weird, strange homosexual. He hated women so bad he killed his mama, and his lover was Lord Buckingham, who Buckingham Palace named after. He didn't lie. He said, this is my version. That's why women come off so bad in it. Now, how can all the Christians I know in the black community when I was growing up be locked into King James and have a passionate hatred for gays?
Wow.
Well, that's who interprets. You see how it works?
Yes, sir.
See how it goes? And so there's a universal God force that gave you everything. Everything. You ever heard of Victoria's Secret?
Yeah, I think everybody heard of Victoria's Secret just about. The lingerie, you talking about lingerie?
Lingerie, right?
Okay,
why is where your mama, your wife, your girlfriend, your daughters, why wear they buy their underwear? It's called a secret because Queen Victoria was a man. Okay?
Queen Victoria, wow. Okay.
Then it makes sense. Victoria's Secret, what's her secret? She's the queen, she's a man, she got to wear women's clothes, don't she?
Yes. That's
okay?
Right.
And if you go to the library and pull a picture and look at that old ugly thing, you look at it and see it's a man. And so we're saying, taking this time to go over this to say, when you start unveiling the truth, then you start seeing things and feeling things that nobody can lie to you. So that's what we do out here, a group of us that do the research. We tie the stuff together, okay? Say, why are black folks so violent? Violent? You heard of malt liquor, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you know you can't buy malt liquor in a white neighborhood?
I heard that before, but you saying so it's true.
No, well, see, you just answered a same question.
Right.
All you got to do is go to a white neighborhood and try to buy it. You don't have to ask me. That you can prove. Huh?
Yes, sir.
So why are white beer companies making beer for black folks and they ain't selling to white folks? Because they put a thing in there called manganese, and once you get enough manganese, you'll kill your mama. Now, the body needs manganese, but once you get too much, no. Listen to this here, and those of y'all that do the research, This was in Thursday, May the 29th, 1997, New York Daily News, right?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this. Crime linked to pollution. Polluted water can cause brain damage that turns ordinary people into violent criminals. Now you see why people with money buy bottled water.
Mm.
Who said it? Researcher. What's his name? Roger Masters. Okay? Roger Masters. Where? Of Dartmouth University. Okay? Dartmouth College in Handover, New Hampshire. Now, this ain't no spooky nothing. I just gave you where you can hit up and get in touch with Roger Masters, huh?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant thing. Here's what he says. He compared crime figures from the FBI with information on industrial discharge. Wait a minute. Crime figures from what? The FBI. Hey, man, nobody told us the FBI was keeping crime figures on homicides caused by pollution, right? Well, I got a copy. Here it is. The relationship between lead exposure and homicide. And yet they reduced us down to such nothing. They got us believing this crime thing we looking at is us, huh?
Right.
Okay, now watch this here. Roger Masters. He said, compared crime figures from the FBI information on industrial discharge of lead and manganese. Okay? He found a link between pollution levels and murder, assault, and robbery. Counties with the highest pollution levels have a crime rate triple the nation's average. But they can make us believe this is a black thing, huh?
Right.
You see, anytime you double-cross the real God and peacefully coexist, anytime you accept injustice, you become unjust. Anytime you peacefully coexist with filth, you become filthy. That's who we are. And so they can put all this stuff down. They train. They understand the mind. They understand all kinds of craziness, right?
Yes, sir.
And you have to do this tonight, but y'all listening. Jamaica. You ever been to Jamaica?
No, sir.
They're super black over there. Hey, Mom, you know the number one killer in Jamaica tonight as we talk with young folks? It ain't crack. It ain't drive-by shootings. It ain't automobile accident. It's bleaching cream. Did you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Bleaching cream, huh? Okay. What? Bleaching? The number one killer of Chinese women in China is bleaching cream. That's what the Hollywood movies do with white supremacy. They put that stuff around the world, and you see them white folk, and yellow ain't enough for a Chinese woman. Huh? And we sit here and just, And these folks is using scientific data, huh? When we sitting here trying to figure out stuff, well. And so, again, I say this to say, I did a show the other day talking about, I had all the documents on the bleaching cream, right? Then talking about Jamaica. I said, wait a minute. You ought to go to Jamaica. I said, you know how many black folks are listening to this show tonight that know what Dick Gregory looked like? And if they saw a daughter, grandson, or daughter come home with a man or woman as dark as me, they would have some problems. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Do you know in New Orleans tonight, they still have brown bag parties? You ever heard about them?
No, sir. Tell me about that.
Me and you going to a party. When we get to the door, there's a brown bag hanging down from the ceiling. If you're darker than the brown bag, you can't come in.
Oh, wow. They still got what's going on.
But wait a minute, man. Let's don't play no game. We know about that yellow thing. We know how it exists. Now, don't nobody want. They discussing the word nigger, which you can never be. But what show have you ever heard discussing this yellow thing that we locked into, many of us? Okay?
Right. That's right.
All right. Now, let me tell you how it works. Y'all can take your pens and hit up on this one here. Here. UCLA. Newsroom. Research. Okay? African Americans. Now, this came out of UCLA. Okay? African Americans and Caucasians have similar emotional brain activity when seeing African Americans. You say psychologists, science. Now, this is data. This is research. This ain't no pimp talk, right?
Right.
What they do, they take 100 white folks, and for 6 weeks they run them through a program, right? Who do you like? Who do you dislike? You know, they're talking about race. You know, you people. Did you like your school? You like your this? And then after that's over, they take these 100 and they give them. They put a brain scan around their head. Looks like a pair of earphones, right? And your brain shows up on a big TV screen, right? And so they flash you pictures of your mother, the different people you said you like. And they can see on that screen happiness. They see the movements, right? Joy. Yeah. And then they show a picture of a black man. And 63% of white folks fear damn near jump through their skull. They wasn't even aware of it, right? Okay? Now, they did the same thing to 100 black folks. When they showed them a black man, 63% of them had the same reaction. That's why they said the test, African Americans and Caucasians have similar emotional brain activities when seeing African Americans. Huh? This is scientific data, huh?
Yes,
so then we sit and think you can peacefully coexist with some filth, and it's not affecting you. All right, let me. How old are you now?
I'm 31. I just got my birthday was on Saturday.
Let me make you 45, right?
Yes, sir.
Let me make you African American, 6 PhDs, right?
Okay.
Thriving business. You got $10 billion in the bank, right?
Yes, sir.
You driving down the street tonight with your wife and family, huh? In your brand new Rolls Royce, huh?
Yes, sir.
$400,000, huh? Big old pocket full of credit cards, bag full of money, right?
Yes, sir.
You hear a siren coming, you look through it and see a cop car, right? You squeeze the steering wheel, man. You got 5 PhDs, $10 billion, respectable citizen. And when that cop passed you, you say, thank God for what? He wasn't after you in the first place. But here's a white dude on his way to rob a drugstore, and the cop passed and he waved at him. He don't know him. Now, how do we start unwinding that, huh? You hear me? My mother. My mother. If my mother walked in your studio right now, she dead, but you would think God spit her out. That's how precious she was. Loving and kind, you know.
Yes, sir.
But if you tried to explain to my mother that Jesus Christ wasn't a Christian, she would stomp you to death. Why?
Wow.
She didn't know Christianity never happened until 100 years after Jesus was dead. She never know. They never wrote anything publicly about Jesus the first 100 years. She didn't know Jesus' brother James, they killed the same way they killed him. That's what raised me, okay? My mother, man, suffered and didn't know what dad was, right? 6 of us. And I was born before welfare, right? My mother, man, would go to different people's house and wash windows and scrub steps and stuff and to give us our Christmas, right? And on Christmas morning, man, we laid out all under the Christmas tree. Toys, you know that feeling feel like when you're a little child, don't you?
Yes, sir.
And then after she do that, she tell us a white man brought it forward, huh? Can you imagine a Jew buying their children stuff for a special day and saying Hitler and the Nazis bought it for him, huh?
No, I can't imagine it, no.
Okay. She said, do you realize, man, that when I go to China, I go into the Christian community, and Jesus Christ look Chinese. Go to Japan, Jesus Christ look Japanese. Go to Brazil, Jesus Christ look. Come to America, go to black, you hear white man. But in America, we got Polish people running back to Poland every year so they can bow down to a black Madonna, huh? Okay? And so we really believe that you can, you see, anytime I let anybody reduce me below the dignity that God left. I'm talking about the church.
Mm-hmm.
Reduce me below the dignity that God gave me just so I can feed my family and pay the rent and send me. I have violated God. Huh?
Yes, sir.
That's a violation of God. And when you violate God, you get your grace taken away. Huh?
Mm.
You go from grace to disgrace. Huh?
Yes, sir.
But we believe, oh, yeah, I'm just providing for the family. If I didn't do that, they wouldn't be able to eat. Did white folks make you? Huh? Mm. Do you know who you are? Like the strongest two forces in the history of America. I'm going to say this twice. The strongest two forces in the history of America has always been the black woman and the black church. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
And when we black men find this out, right? Ho, 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 ho. Now, I'm going to make a statement, and then I'm going to correct it, right?
Okay.
Right now. I'm going to say to you tonight on your show that in America, in daily life, black folks is found to be more religious than white folks. Do you know how many black folks and preachers everybody be calling you up? I'm crazy. This ain't true. How can he say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me see how many people going to call on this. Those out y'all got your pen and paper. Take this out. The Philadelphia Inquiry, one of the major white papers on the planet. Sunday, March the 9th, 1997. Got that?
Mm-hmm.
Headline. In daily life, blacks found to be more religious than white folks. I bet you ain't going to mop your mouth on that one. Huh? Me, I'd be attacked. You can't say that. Nothing. Here's some white folks saying it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And where'd they get it from? It's a study called The Most Exhaustive Ever on Race and Religion shows that the church is important among black sociologists say it. This is scientific data, no emotion, no crap, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you sit and see how the mind works and then how they trick. So now if we go back, so you can't just pick up something from here. Let's go back to the day King was shot on the balcony, okay? Remember that famous picture where everybody was pointing up?
Yes, sir.
Now, if me and you was in Memphis tonight and we eating lunch, your family, mine, on the back, and a shot rang out, are we going to hit the floor?
Yeah, I know.
Now, how did them folks know it wasn't going to be a second shot, okay? See what critical thinking do?
Yes, sir.
How did they know? Do you know that bullet was moving so fast, King didn't even hear it? It hit him before the sound reached him? Okay, so how did they know where it come from? Huh? The bullet came from down on the ground. Somebody got them to point the wrong way, huh? The next morning, they came in there, by the time morning, they'd moved the tree out the way because the tree would have been in the way of that window where they said it came from, and they went in there and cleaned up all the bushes. Why? Because they forgot they couldn't leave the cartridge there because the cartridge, the shell wasn't going to match the gun. They was going to leave the blame it on James L. Ray.
Right.
So the mayor and all of them sent them in there to clean all that up to get that shell, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm saying, so now here's what happened. King is on his way to the Poor People's March, right?
Yes, sir.
And white Southern senators, some nonsense. Look, we can't have this man coming here. Everywhere he goes, there's violence. Well, you had some senators and some Congress folk, white folks, and black. Wait a minute. King has never created violence. That's always been perpetrated on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then somebody said, oh, well, we got to change that, right?
Yes, sir.
So that whole Memphis thing was staged to create a violence, you know. The invaders, when the truth come out, man, they wasn't nothing but a bunch of government provocateurs. Not all of them, but the ringleaders, government provocateurs. And out of all the riots that happened in America in the 60s, that was the only riot that the cops didn't start. They started smashing windows. The invaders, huh? And forced now the movement can't say there's never been a demonstration that King Lead had broke into violence, okay?
Right.
So now that's why he was forced to come back in there, huh? That's why he had to come back in there, because he was embarrassed. He had to prove to the whole world that nonviolent work, that he could run a nonviolent demonstration, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you know, King was killed April the 4th, right? 1968. I have a document. I had it before it was unclassified, right?
Yes, sir.
Subject, after, here's what it says, subject, after action, report, civil disorder, Operation Lantern Spike, that was the code name. This the 111 military intelligence that was sent into Memphis the 28th of March and stayed there till April the 12th. Went in before King. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
United States Army Intelligence Command. Huh? All right. They came out of Maryland, man. Huh? This year. And so when the government was not, now they can't deny it because they've been forced to admit, right?
Yes, sir.
So now, when the CNN just did that last special
Ernest
a couple of weeks ago on King.
Oh, King, okay.
And you saw King laying on the ground. And the girl asked Andy Young, said, how did you feel with Martin Luther King laying at your feet? You know what Andy said? I thought he was putting us on. I thought it was a practical joke. And I'm saying, Andy, did you really hate, huh?
He said that for real?
Wait. You know why I resent what you asked me? I just told you it's CNN. All you got to do is get it.
That's right.
All you got to do is get the damn transcript, man. Huh? Don't waste my time. Huh? I'm one of the most ethical, honest people on the planet. What, I call into your show as much as I love you and lie to you?
No, brother, I'm not saying that, brother Dick. I don't look at CNN because I know they do that.
I didn't say you look. I said you can get it. Huh? I don't eat at the Memphis airport, but I can fly there and eat there. I'm saying what I'm telling you, you can find. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm saying you got other people that sitting listening to the show. I'm saying all you got to do is look at Andy Young standing there, and she asked him that, and he said, I thought he... Now, let me tell you what that means. That means that Martin Luther King, one of the most public figures, eloquent on the planet, right? That he's walking out his room to go to dinner, and he would fall down on a dirty balcony floor as a practical joke in his suit. Huh? You know how much hate that boy have to have for King to say something like that? Huh?
Yes, sir.
And then Reverend Kyle, who he's going by his house to dinner, Kyle said, well, I came over and took the cigarette out of his hand because he didn't want the world to know. Look, when King walked on that balcony, ain't the world press standing there?
I mean, Earl Caldwell was there from the New York Times. He was staying at the hotel.
No,
as
baby.
As you know, I already know you know. Codename Zorro.
Yeah, the world press. I'm saying the whole world press was there.
Yes, sir.
So why would I walk out on the balcony with a cigarette in my hand if I didn't want people to know I was smoking?
Well, I want to, Brother Dick, I want to play right quick. Like I saw you and Steve Cokie did some years ago about this. I want to play the clip that you provided that was broadcast, I believe, on NBC of Reverend Billy Cowles in his own words. So, you know, Reverend Billy Cowles claimed that he spent the last hour of Dr. King's life in room 306, and they made a documentary about it. So I wanted him to say in his own words what you already know. I want everybody else to hear this, too.
And then I'll explain to you where that happened, okay?
Yes, sir.
And when I finished sharing with them the last hour of Dr. King's life, I hurried. But that gave me the wonderful privilege of spending the last hour on earth. 3 preachers in a room, Abernathy, King, and Kyle. And we spent that last hour together in room 306 at the Lorraine Motel. The press is always curious, and writers, what went on? What did you talk about? I said, we just talk preacher talk. What preachers talk about when they get together? Revivals and all that. What you fixing to hear now? About 5:45, we walked on the balcony, and he was talking to people in the courtyard. He stood here and I stood there. Only as I moved away so he could have a clear shot, the shot rang out. Thank you. I turned around and then knocked him back on the balcony.
So that's what Billy Cow said.
Now listen to this first now.
Mm-hmm.
He put one finger up and said, I stood here and King stood there. Only as I moved away so he could have a clear shot. Now, had he not said nothing after that, you could have thought he was talking about a photographer, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, as I moved away so he could have a clear shot, the shot rang out. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now, let me tell you where that came from. A woman called me from Jackson, Mississippi, because Reverend Carl and them was playing up the April the 4th rally in Memphis, right?
Yes, sir.
So they went there and held a press conference. Well, James Orange, one of King's lieutenants, was down there with a group of A.L.L people. So they went to the press conference. When he heard Billy Carl say that, he was talking about killing him. The girl ran to a payphone and called me and said, Dick, James Orange is talking about killing Reverend Carl.
Wow.
I said, put him on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And James Orange said, I said, James, hear me. Listen to me. What happened? And he told me. I said, James, I want you to hear me. Before you do anything, I want you to compose yourself and go to the networks. All of them was there. Go to NBC and tell them who you are. And don't look angry or nothing and say, we'd like to get a put of that to take there for the archives. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Because if you don't get it now, it will be destroyed, and the world will never be able to hear it. Huh?
Yes, sir.
And I said, when you get it, you have the sister call me. Huh?
Mm.
And then I sent my people down there immediately. Bring that tape back here. Huh?
Yes, sir.
That's how you able to hear that now. Okay? And so, again, I'm saying that when you sit and you look and see how they've been able to turn this thing around and mess it up and take it all upside down and everywhere, right? Now, you got a pencil and a piece of paper on you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can find something here to let you jot down, and then we'll get back into the okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want you to write these names down.
Yes, sir.
Now, we over there with Gaddafi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gaddafi, he's been CIA ever since he was a little boy.
Mm.
Right?
All right.
You hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Did you see where they found $62 billion Gaddafi's money in a Washington, D.C. bank? Now, would he be that stupid to keep his money here knowing they're going to take it? Oh, look, now, here's one you write down.
Yes, sir.
First name is Charles McKee, M-C-K-E-E.
Okay, I got it.
He's from Youngstown, Ohio.
Yes, sir.
His mother's name is Beulah McKee. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's 7 names, but I just haven't been able to go to the warehouse, so I'm going to give you 5 of them, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay? The second name is Matthews Gannon, Gannon, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The third name is Ronald. Let me spell the last name, L-A-R, capital R-I-L-B-E-R-E.
Okay.
That's the third name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fourth name is Donald O'Connor. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
And the fifth name is Joseph Curry, C-U-R-R-Y. Those are 5 of the 7 people that was on Lockerbie Pan Am 103. Those were DEA agents, been subpoenaed back by a federal judge to come back and testify how they was running drugs in this country from Afghanistan, right?
Oh, wow.
Now, when I sit on a show, you got to go around the world and give these names out if it wasn't true. And there's a book out, okay? Mm-hmm. There's a book out called The Trail of the Octopus, okay? that runs this whole story of what really happened. So all that crap that we talking about, huh? And I say that to say that this is where we live. This is what we, I know this. Don't nobody else know this? So now, let's go back into King now.
Yes, sir.
After King is dead, Abernathy writes a nasty book on King. You aware of that?
Yes, sir. I remember that book. Yes, sir.
Okay. And he's talking about the sex that King had the night before he was killed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said the sister, they got into a fight and said he knocked the sister down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And said, and she leapt up off the floor. Black folks don't say leapt, they say leaped.
Right.
So that's why some white person wrote that. Okay. Now, thank God for the sister, sad for Abernathy, the woman there in Memphis got a lawyer and sued Abernathy and the publisher. Did you know that?
Yes, I heard a little bit. I'm vaguely familiar.
Now, you know the reason it didn't go to court?
Why?
And the truth didn't come out? Because Abernathy was killed. They say he died of natural causes in the hospital. That's crap. And once he died, the suit stopped, okay? All right? See how vicious it is, man?
Yes, sir.
And so when you stop and think about, the hatred, and so if you look at Abernathy's book, that come right out of the CIA and the FBI files, okay? All right. Now we got this new piece of filth that just came out on Malcolm.
Yes, sir. So you talking about A Life of Reinvention, Malcolm X by Dr.
Wait, read it slow, though. What did it say?
A Life of Reinvention.
Hold it. Reinvention, right?
Right, reinvention.
Wait. Reinvent means I'm gonna make you over, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they said, right? So that's why you see in the book we're going to make Malcolm over and say that Malcolm was not only gay, he had a white lover. The reason Malcolm was mad at Elijah Muhammad because Elijah Muhammad knocked up one of his girlfriends. See what they talk about when they say make over?
Yes, sir.
All right, now, listen to this. This is really cold-blooded, man.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who wrote this book, Manny Marble, Marable, right?
Yes, sir.
PhD, professor at Columbia University. Well, let me tell you about the Ivy League schools. All the Ivy League schools, not almost. Every Ivy League school, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, all of them was created by slave owners for their dumb white boys. Huh?
Yes, sir. I agree with that.
Okay? Now, when you look at the new book on Malcolm, right?
Yes, sir.
Let me find the page here. He says that he talked about Malcolm's daddy. I want you to hear this because when you start reading, you can hear things that don't make sense coming from me, right?
Yes, sir.
So he goes on to say that Malcolm's daddy, Earl Little, Earl Little, married Malcolm's mother in 1909. Got that?
Yes, sir.
1909, right?
Mm-hmm.
He married a local African-American woman, Daisy Mason, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what's wrong with that? Wouldn't nobody have to say in 1909 you married a Negro woman, right?
Right.
Who else was you going to marry? A whole lot of places had law you couldn't marry a white woman, right? So what black man would say that and just this was written by a white boy?
No, okay, brother, I think he meant that Earl Little was married before, according to Marable. He's talking about not Malcolm's mother, but his first wife he married in 1909.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I'm saying, why would you have to say he's married to a African American? Well, you got to qualify that.
That's true, because, you talk about Jack Johnson, they made the man act because what Jack Johnson was doing white girls. You're right about that.
Did you hear me? That's what I'm
you.
saying. That's how vicious, okay?
Yes, sir.
So then what Mary Marable didn't know is how white supremacy works. The book is going to come out on April the 4th, this month, on the 43rd anniversary of King's assassination, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they killed him on April the 1st. Is that called April Fool's Day?
Yeah, yes, sir.
So now he says that the two brothers that really killed Malcolm, they ain't never went to jail. Well, we who do the research know the CIA killed him, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll prove something to you in a minute. We know that, right? Now, so what's he saying? He's saying that the CIA didn't do it, huh?
Yes, sir.
Now, here's what happened. Somebody threw a smoke bomb in the back of the room at the Ottoman Ballroom, right?
Yes, sir.
First, let me tell you the story. Malcolm called me at 6 o'clock in the morning that Sunday. I was working in a nightclub called Basin Street East in New York. Sunday night was my closing night, huh?
Mm-hmm.
He said, Brother Greg, you just want to make sure you be down at the ball. I said, Malcolm, let me tell you something, man. I'm not going to be there, man. I'm not going to give the government 2 for the price of 1. I'm so sure they're going to hit you today, Malcolm. I had my wife book me into Chicago at a college out by the airport for $1,000 when I get $5,000 a speech, just so I will not even be tempted to come in there. And when Adam Clayton Powell get through preaching his sermon, I'm going to call him and tell him don't go nowhere around there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in Chicago when they handed me the note. Now, let's get back to the ballroom.
Yes, sir.
They threw a smoke bomb, and while everybody was running in commotion, these 2 black guys ran up to the stage. Malcolm was up on the stage, okay? And they're on the floor. They shooting up. When we finally forced the government.
Hey, everybody, we're going to get Dick Gregory back on. See, just by he about to tell the truth, the powers that be cut us off. We're going to get this brother back on. So before we get him back on, I'm going to play something that Dr. Marable said about his book. He was about Dr. Marable talking about Alice Haley, because I had the privilege of interviewing Dr. Manny Marable in July of 2007 while he was in the process of putting together his book. So I want to play a little snippet of Dr. Marable on Alex Haley, and we'll get back to Brother Dick Gregory. But fight the power that be, and like Flavor Flav said, can't trust it. We'll be right back.
Haley's objective was entirely different. Haley was a Republican. He was black, but he was a Republican, liberal Republican. He was an integrationist. Malcolm was a black nationalist. Haley despised what the Nation of Islam stood for, but he was fascinated and riveted by the charismatic personality of Malcolm. So the 2 men collaborated on the book for different reasons. As the book was being written, Malcolm's view of the nation changed, and the listeners will recall that Malcolm was silenced by Elijah Muhammad after the so-called chickens come home to roost statement by Malcolm on the death of John F. Kennedy. This was simply used as an excuse to eliminate Malcolm from the organization by Elijah Muhammad. When Malcolm departed the nation in March 1964, and then the next month going to Mecca on a Hajj, a religious pilgrimage, he transformed his faith to that of Sunni Islam, Orthodox Islam. And so therefore the purpose of the autobiography was not to praise Elijah Muhammad, but rather to explain why he had changed. And so Malcolm, supposedly, according to Haley, himself eliminated 3 chapters that he and Haley had prepared when he was still in the Nation of Islam and jettisoned them from the book. Now, it's hard for us to make a critical judgment if that's true or not, because after all, Malcolm was dead after February 21st, 1965. We only have Haley's word to go on it. Haley was hostile to Malcolm in the Nation anyway. And the chapters contained critical political information about how Malcolm wanted to build a broadly based Black United Front to fight against racism. I always, for years, would read the autobiography and sense, something's missing from this book. You know what was missing? Malcolm was the most overtly political personality of his generation. He was building a new organization, the OAAU, the Organization of Afro-American Unity. Answer this question. Where is the political program of the OAAU in his book? It's not there, is it? Where is the political strategy to unite and empower the black community? It's not in his autobiography. He talks around it, but he doesn't talk to it. The answer is that a lot of that was deleted. So where are these chapters? Well, as of last time I checked, they're in a safe in Detroit in the possession of an attorney, Gregory Reed, who purchased them in late 1992 for $100,000 at an auction after the death of Alex Haley, and he picked them up at the estate auction.
I mean, actually, was it done after Malcolm's death, the deletion of these 3 chapters?
Well, Haley says that Malcolm had agreed to it, so we have only his word to go on. But you also have to keep in mind Haley was hostile to Malcolm Malcolm's politics when he was in the Nation of Islam. So I'm not certain.
Well, did Haley have connection to the FBI? Was he like a FBI agent?
He was not an agent, but he was an informant. And if you've obviously read, or at least part of Living Black History, my book that came out in 2006, where I stunned many people with the evidence that I found at the University of Tennessee Archives in Knoxville, in the Anne Romaine papers, and also in Haley's papers, that Haley in 1962 was approached by the FBI, and they funneled information to him and a white author, Alfred Balk, to write an attack on the Nation of Islam entitled The Black Merchants of Hate, which appeared in the Saturday Evening Post magazine in late February 1963. And it was information from the FBI. So he was an agent. He was an informant, in effect, a purveyor of misinformation. And it was that man who went on to then, of course, write Roots.
Right. And they had some trouble with that, too, I mean, as far as...
Yes, indeed. Being sued by a British author successfully, settlement out of court for over $1 million for plagiarism of extensive writing from the British author's work. So Haley has a very mixed history.
And that was Dr. Manny Marable in his own voice on our show back in July 2007, talking about his then yet-to-be-released book, Malcolm X, The Reinvention. And we got Brother Dick Gregory back on, like the powers that be. So like, well, Public Enemy said back in the day, you got to fight the powers that be. So, Brother Dick, are you there?
Yeah, let me just say 2 things. What I was going to tell you right before. What were we talking about right before the thing went down?
Yes, sir.
Now here. So all the bullets in Malcolm is going down. The brothers with the gun is shooting up. They're on the floor.
Yes, sir.
Those bullets came. The CIA had admitted that 2 weeks before the Malcolm was there, they rented the Audubon Ballroom, and that's where they cut the holes in the wall, and that's where that was from. Now, Manny Merrill gets hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this book. He don't know that, okay? He don't know. You see what they do? You see that interview they gave you? You heard? You would almost believe that this brother's cool, right?
Right.
Until you stop and you say, wait a minute. Now, if I know that Alex Haley didn't write Roots and didn't write Malcolm, okay? See, the thing you asked him, he said he hated Malcolm. Listen, he wasn't just working. They recruited Alex Haley out of naval intelligence, okay?
Right.
Now, how I know that and he don't know it, right? All right? Now, when he became world-renowned, it was because the articles, while he's supposed to have been with Malcolm, he was doing for Playboy magazine. Okay? He didn't write none of them articles in Playboy magazine. Okay? That was the editor people, Murray Fisher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who wrote that, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, when the book come out, Murray Fisher wrote the book, all of it, right? Now, let's take a look at it. When the brother said that he plagiarized, right, the author. Now listen to this. He wrote that came out of the book called The African, Harold Portlander, right?
Yes, sir.
When he said he sued him, it wasn't $1 million. He sued him, and they settled out of court for $650,000. And he had to admit, okay, that he took the stuff out of the book, that he had never done none of that stuff he said in the book and the whole thing, right?
Yes, sir.
And so now the trial lasted, I think it was 2 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the great part about this here is this trial took place in federal court, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's public domain. All you got to do is hit up and you find out the date of the trial took place, the judge's name. During the trial, presiding U.S. District Judge Robert J. Ward stated, copyright, this is, period. In a later interview, he told BBC television, Judge Ward said Alex Haley perpetrated the biggest hoax in the history of the public, right? And now this is documented. This is federal court. He told him go settle this, or I'm going to get you for perjury because we have evidence. Told him from his lawyer that you had this book 18 months before you testified that you ever heard of it. Okay. Now, when Malcolm came out on page 122, he listed Dick Gregory.
Right.
In other words, Malcolm supposed to told him, Dick Gregory told me about Elijah Muhammad's women. Well, I lived around the corner from Elijah, so I went around with the book. I said, man, I guess the government's trying to make y'all mad at me so they can kill me and blame it on y'all. I said, I love Malcolm. I love you. I've been knowing you. Well, if I know, I would tell you something on Malcolm before I tell Malcolm something on you. You know? Now, I'm saying, now, this is very important.
Yes, sir.
Did you hear when he said stuff was being sold, right? Now, let me tell you something very important. There's been few books at that time that have made as much royalty money. You hear me? It's Alex Haley. All over the world is making millions of dollars, even now, right?
Yes, sir.
The roots, the TV, the whole thing, right? Now, let's think about it. Let's say you write a book that becomes a runaway bestseller. You're making $50, $60 million a year royalties, okay? You owe me $10,000, right?
Yes, sir.
But you're an alcoholic, you're a drunk, you're a drug addict, and you're a gambler, right? So you broke, right? Now, I'm not going to have my lawyers auction off your possession because every 6 months you get a new royalty check, right? So all I got to do is go into federal court and attach your royalties, and I get the money before you get it. So why did they have to auction? Because Alex didn't have nothing. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Now, how come Malvo didn't put that in the book? I knew it, but he didn't know it. See, all of them perpetrate fraud, but they do it just enough. Okay? So what his job, see, when they killed Malcolm, all the stuff changed, and nobody didn't realize that wasn't what Malcolm was telling him, right?
Right.
So now, all at once now, it didn't kill Malcolm. It made Malcolm big, right? Malcolm got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So now they got to what did they say? What's the name of the book?
The Reinvention.
Okay, now they got the reinvention ticket because white folks all over the world is reading about Malcolm X. So now they're going to make this black nationalist a gay in love with a white boy. Huh?
Yes, sir.
All right, all this crazy stuff, okay? And because he comes from academia, right?
Yes, sir.
And now when he named the two brothers that killed Malcolm, you know why they had to kill him? Because there'd be a lawsuit. They would have to come before. You hear me? The same way they did Abernathy.
Right, exactly. Wow, that's crazy. I ain't going to never write a book about this type of stuff then, Brother Dick. I'm sorry.
So, wait a minute. He says, Malcolm said in his book that Malcolm had sex with this little young girl the night before they killed him.
Oh, well,
Everybody knew that Malcolm told everybody the government, the FBI, and the CIA was running surveillance on him 24/7, huh?
Yes, sir.
Now, let me tell you something I know about Malcolm, huh? All my life I hear people talk about all your 90% of your billionaires, you okay? Went bankrupt 5 or 6 times. You ever heard that statement?
Yes, sir, I heard that.
Now, nobody ever write a book on how they went bankrupt. They write a book on how they made $1 billion, right? So why is this thug pimp punk writing a book about negative stuff? You see, let's go back to his early life. Hey, man, you know how many pimps and hustlers and punks that was in jail having sex with men and all that kind of stuff? That was the lay of the land then.
Right.
That Malcolm came out and changed. Whatever they said he was doing, he changed. He didn't sell dope. Malcolm, under the auspices of Elijah Muhammad, straightened out that whole East Coast with brothers. Huh? Now, this is something that you can pull up. There was a big rumble where some Muslim brothers had been beat up by cops in Brooklyn. I don't know if killed or what. 10,000 people showed up at the police station.
Right.
The mayor called the governor and said, call the president. If you get the National Guard and the Army in here, we don't think we can save New York, but we don't think we can save New York City, but we might can save New York. Just then, Malcolm jumped out of the car and ran up on the platform, raised his hand, said, brothers and sisters, go home. Go home. We'll take care of it. You know what the editorial was the next day of the New York Times?
What was it?
They told what Malcolm did, right? And they said, no Negro in America should have that much power. Now, you can pull that. That's okay. Not praised him. And that's when you know when the death thing was on him. No Negro in America should have that much power to tell 10,000 people after we already have ordered for the troops to come in, okay?
Right.
Now, let me tell you about Malcolm, man. Malcolm didn't cuss. Malcolm was witty and clever and funny, but you'd be uncomfortable being around him. He's so bashful, huh? Polite. He called everybody yes sir. And he called white folks yes sir, black folks yes sir, old folks, young folks, everybody yes sir. Oh no sir, yes sir. That was Malcolm, huh? Now you're gonna take at the end of his life, when for as long as there's somebody on the planet, Malcolm, not this thug punk Marabou with his PhD. Don't nobody remember him. But Malcolm, that's what they did with this book. They trying to shut Malcolm's spirit down because what they want to do is have the libraries take out the first Malcolm book and put this one in. See how it works? Now, that's what you can do when you have that kind of money and that type of power, huh?
Yes, sir.
And so when you listen to that interview that he gave, you almost don't see nothing tricky. Matter of fact, he bad-mouthing who? He bad-mouthing A.L.L. Why? Because he know A.L.L. ain't wrote none of that. Okay? And then, like I said, when you get the, when you call Will, just leave her your number, and I'll put this stuff in the mail to you.
No, I already faxed it. I faxed it. I talked to her today. I faxed my information over her.
Okay, good. And now you see all the stuff in there about what the what the settlement was, and why he had to auction off. He was $2 million in debt, huh? How can you be $2 million in debt when in a few months you're going to get another big royalty check, huh?
Yeah, that's weird. That don't make no sense.
Well, it makes sense when you understand the truth, huh?
Yes,
and
sir.
Understand how it works. So what they just gave us is a PhD, you know, that they send him out there doing interviews with people like you and da-da-da. And then 3 days before the book come out, he was booked, first interview he was booked to do when the book come out was on the Today Show. He was dead. died on Friday.
Okay.
You ain't asking no questions.
Mm.
The two guys, the guy's wife was saying, how could he say my husband did something like that? Well, you can't sue it now because he's dead, okay? So
he left a bestseller, right? He left a bestseller, though. He made the publishers rich, and he changed, like, he reinvented history.
He reinvented history, but you know all you got to do is make a bestseller.
Like, what you got to do?
It's old white boys get together and just decide who's the bestseller.
Like we're going to win a horse race or something. We're going to win the championship.
Yeah,
right, I got you. Mm-hmm. So I want to play what he said about Malcolm X sexuality. This is like back in 2007 when I asked him about this.
Okay.
This way here, I want to get your opinion, Brother Dick, because you're very insightful. And you got a discerning spirit.
I was like, you see, he brought up the queer thing. I know I wanted to ask you this earlier, though, in relation to Malcolm, like everybody, recently, I remember I talked to a professor at the university that I attended, and he was animate. He was a black Muslim himself. Mm-hmm. He stood by the fact that Malcolm X was bisexual, and, like the letter that came out several years ago with him writing to Elijah Muhammad about his marriage problems, which actually, included his sexual problems, allegedly written in his hand or typed in his hand.
Yes, it was.
In 59. I mean, are you going to address that? Is sexuality, Malcolm's sexuality?
Yeah, the book will talk about that. What you're referring to originally was a book by an author named Bruce Perry, entitled Malcolm, and with the exception of one source that was actually from Shorty Jarvis, actually the character in Malcolm's autobiography, who was named Shorty. There is some evidence that is presented in this book that suggests not that Malcolm was bisexual, but that he engaged in intimate actions that were homosexual. I think that to a certain extent you have to separate those kinds of actions from an identity that is homosexual or gay. For example, men in prison frequently have what would be called homosexual sex. Does that make them homosexuals? Well, depends, yes and no. Some people would say yes. Other people would say, well, once you leave the prison, then you're in a heterosexual world. What you do in prison really doesn't matter. So, I'm not. I don't want to get into a debate about it, but Perry basically, for the most part, cites unnamed sources. And that's not what a historian does. That's what fearmongers do.
Right.
And so I address Perry's charges in the book.
What do you think about that, Brother Dick? This is back in 2007.
Again, listen, here's what you got. Here's what you have.
Mm-hmm.
You have one thug, okay, that's bidding, the government's bidding, right? Mm-hmm. And it didn't work because Malcolm just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger around the world. So then they bring in another thug to do it from a different level. Huh? Okay? To do it from a different level. I mean, he beat around the bush when he's saying, look, there's a lot of men and women in jail you have a lot of men who's in the army that masturbate, that wouldn't masturbate if they were close to some women.
That's right. That's true.
So you have men in jail that having sex in jail. They got nothing to do about homosexual. It's just that thing they want, that instant gratification when they get out. Okay, so he kind of beat around the bush on that. Well, maybe he was, and maybe he wasn't. And then when you read his book, he got a lot of innuendos in his. Mm-hmm. Okay, but that's what you do when you're doing the bidding. Now, you don't know if somebody, look, suppose Dick Gregory was a pedophile, right?
Right.
And the government flashed something in front of me and said, here's what we need you to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, they can create stuff on people, huh?
Mm-hmm.
They can make you think you participated in a murder, man. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can be out having a party and wake up and there's a dead woman in the room with you and you ain't had nothing to do with it, but they make you believe in this. Don't worry about it. But here's what we'll have you do. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Here's what. You remember the case about 2 years ago in Atlanta where the cops went in that 92-year-old grandmother's house and killed her?
I can't forget it.
And realized, wait a minute, realized they was in the wrong house, right?
Yes, sir.
So they went down the street and got a brother thug on parole and said, man, we really effed up. We just killed over. We need you to say you bought drugs there.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, the black man and the black police, he sided with the police, and if it wasn't for that woman's daughter and the preacher that went and talked to him and made him retrant his story, to this day, that family would have been disgraced, okay?
Mm.
So that's how they do it. And then they make this one see more integrity than the other one. But how many people, until they heard this show, didn't know that Alex Haley was a trick, huh?
Right. For years, it's been out there like the information is already out there, but we don't access it.
Well,
so we still trust the powers that be to tell us the truth.
Yeah, but you see, that's what heroes, that's when you worship somebody other than yourself, other than your God, okay?
Yes, sir.
And so consequently, when you sit and look, it's like out of all the lies, you know how many lies they have put out on a whole lot of people, man, okay? I mean, everybody and their mama knew Abraham Lincoln was gay. You know they're just coming out with that now?
Oh, yeah, right.
his handyman, the black dude he brought with him, was his lover. When he died, he got special bills passed to put him in the Arlington Cemetery, right? But mean you gonna wait 200 years? Okay. But you gonna get a brother to come. Look here, Malcolm. This is what, and he didn't know that while he was talking to you, they had already marked the day he was gonna die.
Right. Because that book supposed to came out in 2009, supposedly, but they kept on pushing it. He got sick or whatever, and they pushed it back to now. So that's interesting.
And you know, he had a double lung transplant. You know that, right?
Yes, sir.
That was successful, right?
Yes, sir.
So they can't make you believe he died from that. Okay?
Wow. Like he said, his wife said it was unexpected, but also, how did
his wife said what?
It was unexpected. Like, they thought he was over whatever it was ailing him. Like
she
got
did,
a double lung
but then
transplant.
she changed it. After they got to it, she changed it. 3 days later, New Orleans.
Wow.
That's
but
not
they
what
put it
she
out there
said.
real quick, brother, because he died on Friday, right? And they had it in the New York Times on the same day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's real quick.
And so when you stop and think about, how, but it won't work because there's something so huge and so big about Malcolm, huh? It's like, let me tell you, in Washington, D.C., 98% of all the gay and lesbian bars is run by the FBI and the CIA. Okay?
Oh, wow.
Now, let's say that somebody don't like you because of the stuff you do in the government, right? The truth, right?
Yes, sir.
So somebody offer you a job here, NBC, CBS, ABC, and they bring you here for an interview, right? And they said, hey, look here, the man was really fine. Then they put like $5,000 in your pocket, man, but they said, hate to interrupt you, but da-da-da. So that means cash, no tax, no nothing, right? So all at once they said, look, we got some friends coming by, and we're going to have some drinks and stuff and meet. So we're going to meet over here. You don't know it's a gay bar, right?
Right.
So now you sitting there, and then all at once somebody come up and say, oh, my God, and hug you and say, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I went to high school with you, right? Click, 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 click. Okay? There's the pictures, right? Now let me run this story down to you real quick to show you how it works.
Yes, sir.
I go in to do a full day's speech for the 7-day Adventist in Detroit. Now, they ain't part of it, right?
Yes, sir.
So I go in, and I start off at 7 o'clock that morning, right? So I got to get in the night before, right? So they said, well, you're going to be all day. We got blah, blah, blah. We got all these places to go, all these schools, right? And then at night we'll end up doing a public thing, right? So we running, so I leave the hotel at 7:50, right? So I'm out there, so it's so wet. I'm so wet, it's so hot. So then the lady says at 4 o'clock, said, well, now we got a 3-hour break till 7, and said, we'll take you to dinner. I said, no, I'm soaking wet. Let me go home to the hotel and take a shower. Now I'm not supposed to go back to the hotel, right? I'm supposed to be with them so I go back to the hotel at 4 o'clock, right? And I take my clothes off and open up the closet to pull out a new thing of dry clothes, and I see a pair of women's panties and some women's shoes in my closet. Now, I don't know if they were there and I didn't see them, or if the maid accidentally left them there, found them in the drawers, all right? So, but knowing how they work, right, I called my wife first and said, let me tell you something I found. It might not mean nothing. Then I called downstairs and asked for the manager. The manager came up, and I told him this is what I found, and now I need the number to the police to say. He said, no hotel want no cops in there. We'll call. I said, no, it got to be on my credit card that I can prove I've called the police. Right? So I called the police. Now, that night, let's say had I not come back, now I just want you to pick up the paper and read what I'm fixing to tell you you're going to read, yeah?
Yes, sir.
That night, I come back in, go to bed, right? 2 o'clock in the morning, police knocking on my door, right? I go to the door. They stand there with a half-naked white woman all beat up, right? And says, Mr. Gregory, this lady here, we just had a complaint that you beat her up and trying to have sex with her. I said, me? Man, I ain't never heard of her. Now, they said, well, can we come in and look around? Why wouldn't I let them in, right? Then they find her panties and her shoes in my room, right? Now, when you wake up this morning and turn on the news, you see Dick Gregory been led out of a Detroit hotel in handcuffs, right? Anytime you get busted at 4 o'clock in the morning and all 3 networks is there, you know how hard it is to get a network at 12 noon? That's already been prearranged, right?
Yes, sir.
So everybody in the world see Dick Gregory, right? Getting arrested. Now, they take me to jail, right? Meanwhile, they interviewing the woman, right? And here's what the woman say. Oh, me and Dick, well, we've been knowing each other for 15 years. You know, we snorted coke together. But he called me and told me he was in town, and I told him I'm married now, you know. And he said, well, we don't have to worry about no sex. We could do some cocaine, right? So I came by, and that's when he jumped on me and took my panties off, and I was able to get away, right? Now, you still see, no, that ain't my man. So now I get out of jail. I don't know what's been on TV, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, I get out, and they ask me about her. I said, I ain't never met her in my life, right? Now, let's go back 5 years from now, before this, right? See, this is why you can't beat them, man. If you ain't tuned into your universe. 5 years before that, this is a mythical story, right? I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, right?
Yes, sir.
I finished doing a speech. The white dude walk up to me and say, oh, God, my son told me if I heard you could say, I got 20 companies about to go out of business because I don't understand diversity. After hearing you, oh, my God, you the answer. But it is late. Let me come by in the morning. We have breakfast, right? I need you to work. I need you to come to all of my companies, right? So now, next morning, phone ring, right? And one of the other parts of the story I left out, but I'll give it back in a minute.
Yes, sir.
Accident. So now he comes, and I tell people, when you're in a public place, you know, never sit at the bar. You know how you can go to a place, you can either go to the bar and sit, or sit at the counter or sit at a table, right? You're not responsible who's sitting next to you at a bar, right? So now, I go, he's sitting at the bar, so I go, we talk, and he said, oh, God, man, I couldn't hardly sleep last night. Said, here, I'd like to give you $25,000 for each one of my companies you come to and do a seminar, right? Said, well, wait a minute, my son's getting married. Let me see. Let me go out to his car and get my calendar, right?
Yes, sir.
So he goes to the car to get his calendar. There's a white woman sitting next to me. She said, hey, Gregory, oh, my God, my daddy. And she hugs me and kissed me, and the camera's going click, 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 click. I ain't never met her, right?
Right.
Now, let's move up 5 years. Till I get out of jail. And I said, I don't know her. And that evening on the evening news, they're showing pictures of me and her hugging at the bar. And a doorman said, oh, they've always hung out here for years. They said, you know. Now, well, I forgot to tell you, when I was in the Detroit hotel, and I called the manager.
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, just a minute, let me come back. So he came back with something like a purse over his arm and a little thing like a credit card, and he stuck it in the door. And he said, this here, give me a printout every time this door been open. He said, let me see. Oh, yeah, you came in last night at 11:50. You went out at 6:50 this morning. The maid came in at 10:03. The maid went, here it is. Here it is. Somebody came in here at 2:30. I said, what do you mean? He said, it wasn't one of us. It's not one of our markers. See how it works? Now, how do you know that? Okay? How do you know when you read this, but they tell you Dick Gregory, and you sitting looking at a white woman that I say I don't know, then they come up with pictures that I do. That's how comfortable they are. Huh?
Yes, sir.
That's how do you know how many people the CIA and the FBI can find and make look more like you than you?
I know, like, I just know this reading the history, they always had doubles of people who go
so now, when somebody slash you this great Negro leader, right?
Right.
So 50 years from now, the stuff gets unlit. Who do we know? Nobody takes the time to spend the money to say, let's investigate. Let's investigate these tapes, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's TIA, and they got actors that make like that's me in the room having sex, right?
That's true. You're right.
And so what I'm saying is that that's what we living with. That's the price we pay where technology is. But I'm saying I don't know why the universal God touched me. And I know Malcolm, huh? I know his integrity when he made his transition, huh? When he made his transition. I know Malcolm didn't. I was drinking a fifth of scotch a day when I knew Malcolm. I was smoking 4 packs of cigarettes a day, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the only reason I never did no drugs in my life is that wasn't no room for it. No reason I ain't never had a white woman up to this day in my life, and I'll be 80 years old next year because I'm scared of white women. I heard them black folks talking about how they used to cut black folks' testicles off and all that, and I dated a white girl in college and took her to the movie, and the whole row of seats was shaking. I didn't know that was me. And then when I found out that was me, she didn't know it was me. I said, God, I didn't know you felt that way about white women, but I tell you what, you let me out of here tonight with it. You never have to worry about me dating her until this day. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, I hear
it ain't got nothing to do with the white lady. It got something to do with the fear that I heard old black folks talking about what white folks had done to them.
You knew this before OJ, though, and we still don't get the lesson.
Huh?
I mean, you could have told OJ something.
No, see, the OJ thing ain't what you think it is.
That's true.
Did you know OJ could not read or write?
Yeah, I know he was a thug in San Francisco going around robbing.
Wait, hold. You didn't hear me. I said, did you know he couldn't read or write?
No, sir. I know. Yeah, no, sir.
Okay. Did you know his godfather was Willie Mays, huh?
Yes, sir. I knew that.
When he finished high school, Willie Mays slipped him into a community college, okay? For 2 years, and when nobody looking, he eased him in USC, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you know how good a football player he was? Here's a cat that only went there for 2 years and broke all the 4-year-old records.
Oh, he was phenomenal. Yeah, he's phenomenal.
No, wait a minute. No, hear me. Let's go back now. He couldn't read or write. Did you see the O.J. Simpson trial?
Yes, sir.
Didn't you see him writing all the way through the trial?
Yes, sir.
Then if he can't read or write, who was that? Okay? That's what I'm telling you about now, how tricky this stuff is, okay?
Oh, wow.
All right, now, here's a trick. They called Nicole Simpson's mother the next day, right? And they said, when was the last time you talked to your daughter? She said, last night about 11:30. Now, that don't fit the time span, right? So she said, well, how do you know it was 11:30? She said, because my husband and I went to dinner an hour and a half from our house, and we didn't leave the restaurant till 9:30. So we couldn't have got back here before 11 o'clock. Do you know those phone records you can't trace because they in a federal court in Dallas, Texas, on the license, on lock and key, labeled as national security? Now, let me tell you a blessing I had. More Russians live in Seattle, Washington than any other city in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some kind of way I was buying some luggage, and I missed my plane. So the black brother that brought me there said, Greg, let's go to dinner tonight. I won't be able to take you to the airport, but I'll hire a limousine service, right? So when I go down, the limousine service is this white Russian, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we in the car, and we talking, we going to the airport, and so he bring up O.J. Simpson, right?
Mm.
So I thought he knew all the stuff I had said in our investigation about O.J. Simpson. I thought he just greasing me for a tip, right?
Right.
And so I said, you know who I am? He said, Did Gregory? I said, no, you know who I am before they said, no, never heard of you. I said, why are you talking to me about the O.J. Simpson trial? I'm one of the leading authorities on what really happened. He said, my brother was the number 2 man in the KGB, okay?
Mm.
And he said the night that happened, the Russian satellite that just happened to have been over Southern California and filmed the whole thing. Okay? He said, we got in touch with the State Department, huh?
Mm.
And said, they haven't got back in touch with us yet. And I said, well, if I put a group together, you think I can hook up and buy that film? Did you hear what I just said?
I heard it. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I don't know why the universe just put me in certain spots where I just happen to see things. Now, let's go back over O.J. for a minute. If you go back to the library, and this is very important. When O.J. Simpson's mother came down from Nicole's funeral,
Mm-hmm.
that's before O.J. had been indicted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the library tomorrow and look that up. She had a heart attack, man. They had to put her on a medical jet and fly her back to San Diego. Why? When she looked at that thing supposed to have been O.J. and realized it wasn't. The whole time he was in jail for 18 months, she never come to visit him. You hear me?
Mm.
And then when his trial come up, here's a guy that killed 2 white folks. Do you know every day he came to trial in a brand new tailor-made outfit?
Mm.
Okay? So, you see, they understand the brain. They understand certain things to do, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And then they do it. That's why I'm looking at this stuff with Trump. There's something more to it, huh? See, these folks know what make white folks mad, make a lot of black folk glad. So when O.J. was free, black folks were screaming, white folks was mad. Then when they turned around and found him guilty of the other thing, okay, see how it works? And so one more thing I got here, and then I'm going to let you go.
Oh, yes, sir.
I haven't ran over yet, have I?
Oh, no. I want something to play for you right quick before you go, too, but go ahead.
Okay, now here's what I want you to do. And when we hang up, would you call me back? I need to run something past you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Now listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
Got a pencil and piece of paper?
Yes, sir.
Okay, New York Times.
New York Times.
International edition, Sunday, May the 10th, 1992. Now for the listeners, for your readers,
okay,
we're going to say this again. The New York Times.
Mm-hmm.
International edition, Sunday, May the 10th, 1992.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, when Rodney King got beat up by the cops, there was 2 other guys in the car with him, right?
Mm.
A couple of days later, they showed up mysteriously dead, right?
Okay.
So I said, well, wait a minute. My man, I said, calling me you up, I said, you know, man, I got a problem with this case. I said, here's 2 people from Sweden, never been to this country before, just happened to come in that night, checked in the hotel, and they filmed that out their window. And at 7 o'clock, it was playing all over the world. How did 2 tourists know who to take that to at 7 o'clock in the morning? Then we get to checking out Rodney King and find out 7-8 weeks before he got beat up by the cops, a white judge sentenced him to 8 years in jail, and nobody can figure out what he was doing out. 2 weeks later, right? Then we find out that the people that did the filming was Australian secret police heavily connected to the CIA. Now, you got that? You follow that?
Yes, sir.
Now, then later on, the riots broke out, right? Okay, now, what's the date of that paper I gave you just now?
May 10th, 1992.
What paper is it?
New York Times International.
Okay, and here's what you'll see in it. Headlines. Los Angeles police differ sharply with prosecutor on arrest total. Did you hear me? Huh? Now watch this now. Police officials said today that they have arrested 18,000 people from Wednesday night, April the 29th, through today, through the day the riots begin. Huh? This morning, the prosecutor said they cannot account for 10,000 of these people. We don't know where. We don't know where these people are, said James Hahn, who eventually became mayor. That was the payoff, right? The Los Angeles city attorney. Then he says this: it's a mystery to a lot of people in the system right now, right? Now, so I get to checking around and give me a lead in Portland, Oregon. NAACP guy called him. Hey, Brother Greg, said, oh, yeah, man, I remember that 10,000 black men they brought through here. I said, what was the reason? He said, oh, they was taking them to Goose Bay, Oregon to teach them how to be firefighters. They've been in trouble, no education. You know, we always ain't never been enough firefighters, right? I mean, forest firefighters, not firemen. Okay? Well, we found out they go to Goose Bay, Oregon, to a Coast Guard hospital where they steal their organs, okay?
Oh, wow.
Did you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. Now, this is what? Now, when you read this story, you will see, and one of the biggest money makers on this planet is organ stealing, right? When you punch up your computer, punch up Monday, November the 4th, 1996.
Okay.
UCLA sued over its wheeled body program, huh?
Okay.
Family claimed university disposed of the carcasses after they took the organs, okay? When you punch that up, you will see that, okay? And so what we think we see, we don't see, right?
That's right.
And so I just happened to then, I'm the one released the pictures with Ron Brown with the bullet in the back of his head.
Oh, yes, sir. I know you were very much involved in it, because they never did the autopsy.
The reason they couldn't deny it, the white folks that did the autopsy brought the pictures by to me, huh?
And they were military people, right? They were military folks, right?
Yeah, they were the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology. That's where they did the autopsy, okay? Now, you said you had a question you wanted to ask me?
Oh, yeah, I wanted to share with you. Like, I had talked to Captain Jerry Williams. He was one of the original black Memphis police officers. But every time Dr. King would come into town, he would be on security detail, except for the last time he wasn't there. And I just keep on getting discrepancies where Dr. King stayed at exactly. Did he always stay at the Lorraine, or did he stay at the Bimbo or the Rivermont?
No. Come on, let me tell you. Let me tell you how it worked. You live in Memphis, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's move you back to 1950.
Okay.
In the 60s, right?
And
so you have a job, you got a family to feed, right?
Yes, sir.
So now integration comes, right? And public accommodations come, right?
Yes, sir.
But now you ain't about to go into a white hotel and let somebody see you and lose your job, right?
Right.
So one of the things we had in the civil rights movement, anytime we went to town, we stayed at the white hotel, okay? And we ate at white restaurants. Now, why? Because the Justice Department was always following us, not not the ones that's flipping up on us, but they would see if we was being rejected, right?
Right.
So now Hoover, when the day King was coming back, Hoover released this tape to the good, not as him, but in other words, to the good Negro citizens of Memphis. The great black leader says to boycott white businesses, but he himself stays at the Holiday Inn, what was it, Riverfront, right?
Yeah, Riverfront, yeah.
That's what forced him to move. He was on the first floor. It was Andy Young that went, King don't like no first floor. He likes the second floor.
Andy Young did that. Well, I want to say, Captain Jerry Williams, he echoed some of the stuff. This is what he said about who also initiated the change, too. I want you to hear what he had to say and comment on that as well.
Yep.
I want to ask you, where did Dr. King normally stay as far as a hotel? I know there's a controversy. Did he stay at the Lorraine? Was that his hotel that every time he came to Memphis he stayed at, or was that a different hotel?
It was more or less, I've carried him to the Admiral Bimbo Inn hotel here on Union in Memphis. And I do recall that there was somewhat of a controversy because they said that he should live in a black surroundings or something like that. And they didn't particularly care about him staying there, but Jesse Jackson was more or less in charge of that situation because the man that owned the motel, Mr. Bailey. He told me that Jesse Jackson wasn't paying any bills, and that he didn't leave there paying none of the bills that was accumulated.
Yeah, that's Captain Jerry Williams, one of the first black Memphis police officers who don't be on Dr. King's security detail from the MPD talking about his hotel arrangements. What do you say to that, Brother Dick?
No, that makes sense. Sure, that makes sense. No, look, the whole thing was a setup to get him there. So when he had to come back in, they could take him out. Okay, all that was prearranged, huh?
Yes, sir.
And there are a whole lot of black folks involved. Some of them might have been judges, okay? All right? So it's going to be nasty. It's going to be nasty. And so, again, you know, people say, well, how do you live? Well, they try to, I've had two of my researchers murdered.
Wow.
They thought they'd kill me one night and kill my driver. I was at Marvin Gaye's wedding and forgot to call Lil and tell her I missed my plane, so she sent my driver to get me. And so they use these folks with mind control, so they were so busy with their mind control, no, just get the nigga in the Rolls Royce, right? They didn't realize it wasn't me. So they killed him, and at 12 that night it went out, Big Gregory killed, hit and run, homicide.
Oh, wow.
Lil said about an hour later, she don't know nothing about it. A white cop called her from Boston and said, Miss Gregory, I'm a white cop. I can't tell you my name, but your husband was murdered tonight, and they're going to make it look like suicide. That's all I got to say. She didn't know what he's talking about. Huh? Until she realized I wasn't there. And then I called home and told her, and she told me what happened. But we didn't know they had killed my man, Big Mike, huh? That's the way this stuff works, man. They do it all the time, huh?
Yes, sir.
Another thing I'd like for you to do, and if not, I'll get it for you. In 1950, the CIA was experimenting on LSD, right?
Yes, sir.
And the people they was experimenting on were CIA agents, right? This one agent, something happened, and they threw him out the window at the Hilton Hotel in New York and called it suicide. It was many years later when the trial, you can look it up because it was a trial, and we were thrilled, man, that the truth is going to come out, but they settled with the family out of court.
Wow.
This is one of their own, man. They do it all the time, huh? And so when you stop and think about how it works, huh? Let me tell you something. I always thought JFK, that LBJ had something to do with killing JFK.
Oh, yeah.
Until Walter Cronkite, right? Walter Cronkite did a 4-part series, a special, interviewing LBJ in Texas, right?
Mhm.
And at one point, LBJ said, "I always thought that Lee Harvey Oswald was a loner conspirator. I know better now." Well, I know he wouldn't have said that if he was part of it, right?
Right.
3 days later, LBJ was dead.
Hmm.
His wife was in town in Austin. They said he had a heart attack, so she left to meet him. At that time, Austin, Texas had some of the best hospitals in the world, right?
Mhm.
She went there waiting. He never showed up. They put him on a helicopter and flew him all the way across the state to Brooke Army Hospital, which was the #1 burn ward in the world.
Mm.
So now when it come time for that serious run, me and Contact was real close, right?
Mhm.
That was deleted, right?
Mm.
So I see Cronkite changing planes in Kansas City, and I asked him about it, and he looked at me and he said, "Well, CBS overruled me." And I looked him in the eye and said, "My grandmother, when she see you, she ain't never called CBS Uncle CBS. She calls you Uncle Walter." Okay, this how the game works, man. I mean, they got. I mean, government people. You think you looking at every night on TV? You think it's just straight people, huh?
I know that the 60 Minutes, they probably promote their consultants who are quote unquote former CIA agents and stuff like that.
And so,
and
so that's what makes you so valuable and so important, man. Is what you able to do. You know about the 3 tramps up on the viaduct, don't you?
Oh yes, I heard about that. I know Hunt. I know his wife Dorothy Hunt would try to extort the Nixon administration over the Watergate thing. I also know you helped Frank Wills out a lot in that airplane that went down to Chicago with the news reporter that was on the Watergate thing for anybody else and killed everybody.
With Hunt's wife on it.
Yeah, Hunt's wife, and they, people don't know about it.
With $10 million in cash.
That's right.
Now, let me tell you what happened. It was the 3 tramps: E. Howard Hunt, Frank Sturgis, and the guy named Raoul.
Right, the same guy with Dr. King stuff. That's right. And James O'Ray Connect. Yeah,
you know who Raoul? Did you see the movie White Man Can't Jump?
Yeah, I know. Woody Harrelson's father was an assassin.
That was his father.
Wow.
His father killed a federal judge that had found out that Bell Telephone had been letting the CIA tap phones by hooking the pole climbers to drugs and sex and Vegas and all that. And he was outraged, man. And it was getting ready. So the vice president of Attn in Texas committed suicide. And when they killed the federal judge, that was Harrison's daddy, which was Raoul, which was part of the King thing. So now he go crazy. He high. He's telling everybody, "There ain't nothing you can do for me. I work for the CIA and the FBI." And so somebody called. He said, "Call this number and give him my code number." And they called and told him. So they said, "Put him on the phone." So you really messed up, man. You keep your mouth shut. We'll have somebody in there and fix this tomorrow. So they go in and said, "You messed this thing up so bad. What we're going to do is when it come time for trial, we're going to have your trial changed to San Antonio, Texas, to a friend of ours. A federal judge named William Sessions, who double-crossed him and gave him life in jail, and then William Sessions ended up becoming head of the FBI.
Right, I know that name sounds familiar.
and then when Harrison's daddy was killed in jail, they just said he died from pneumonia. That's how it works. Oh, wow.
Well, brother, I want to play something that a guy that, you talked about Malcolm so fondly, and it was a guy there that actually witnessed y'all special relationship named Brother Roland Shepard. He's a white brother. He was a socialist, or is a socialist. He used to work with the militant. He used to work with Malcolm and, look at his speeches at the Forum in New York and also at the Audubon. But this is what he had to say about you witnessing, you interacting with Malcolm. This is Brother Roland Shepard. Brother Roland, are you there?
Yeah.
We're proud to have on once again Brother Roland Shepard, one of the last living witnesses of the execution, the crucifixion of Brother Malcolm X on February 21st, 1965 at the Audubon Ballroom, and also a journalist and promoted the militant, right? the socialist militant. Is that correct?
I was, at that time, I was associated with the Socialist Workers' Party at the time, in the early 60s in New York, and I was selling their paper, The Militant.
All right, cool. I was making sure I don't want to get wrong with the other people that didn't like Malcolm, and we'll talk about that later on. So it's an honor to have you on once again, sir. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Before we get too deep into the Malcolm X assassination, what you know, and all the stuff that needs to be talked about, I'd talk to you about the first time. Can you tell us about the first time you met Dick Gregory in terms of Malcolm X?
Well, he was at the Audubon Ballroom, and Malcolm was talking about people people that were in the audience, and he says, and because Dick Gregory had just written the book, Nigger, and which he said to his mother, whenever you hear that word, you know they're advertising my book. Malcolm said, and now I'd like to introduce my favorite nigger, and he says, Dick Gregory. And Dick Gregory, come on up here. And they were friendly on the stage, and Dick Gregory talked, and he asked, gave the mic to Dick Gregory. And Dick Gregory said, Malcolm, a lot of what you say I agree with. But, as far as giving up my chitlins, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give up my ham hocks. I'm not going to do that either. He just made it laughing. It was kind of funny. It was good-natured humor.
And that was Brother Roland Shepard recalled the first time you knew that you was connected to Malcolm.
Good. Yes, incredible. Thank you. You have such a wealth of information. You see, what you have is real history.
Yes, sir.
You know how valuable that's going to be one day when people who decide to write the history of this movement with no hidden agenda and see the difference between this movement and Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ wasn't recorded. Didn't mean it didn't happen.
Right.
But we got to take somebody else's word for it, huh?
Exactly.
You have live, huh? You have Billy Kyle saying this. That's what makes it so valuable, huh?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Brother Dick Gregory.
I'm sorry, last week, my wife told you I had dental surgery. It took 8 teeth out, man.
Yeah, but the reason why is because you have such a pure body. When you were talking about the weather and stuff, I was thinking about, Mother Nature is trying to detoxify herself. We need to try to detoxify our own body system. And I just it's like going through withdrawals or something.
Yep.
We can have it.
Okay. And so one day we're gonna do a 2-hour health show with some top health black herbalists.
Yes, sir.
And have people call in.
That'd be great. I'm looking forward to it. I could use that information.
Okay. Okay, now, would you do me a favor? When you hang up, what you going to do when you hang up? You got another show to do?
Oh, no, I'm fine. Well,
call me right back. I need to ask you something.
Yes, sir, I will do that. No problem.
Okay, thank you. I'll be right here.
God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Mm-hmm.